Hey guys, what's going on? This is Dice Squad. I am Marshall Dice, known as Adam Campbell, and I'm live here at the Groundhog Day Gaming Retreat with
Michael McFarland
and
Todd Jacobison.
And this is the only show where we bust pests and take names. So, how's it going? We haven't talked in a while.
Yeah, it's been since Con on the Cob.
Con on the Cob!
Things have been great, man. We're getting ready to take this game.
I bet you Andy Hopp is right now getting a spider sense going, Con on the Cob!
He's got the hairs in the back of his neck are standing up. He's like, wait a second, someone somewhere.
And a great disturbance in the force, as if millions of voices suddenly cried out in terror.
Saying, Con on the Cob!
We still joke about that.
Well, the great thing was during our interview at Con on the Cob, like, he was behind the backdrop, and we did that, and so you hear the echo of Andy, like, in the distance, the ghost of Andy just shouting. It was great. I loved it.
So you're here to talk about pests.
Yes!
And I know that we had a brief conversation about pests.
We did.
Here it is now.
Yeah, it actually looks like a real game, doesn't it?
It
How
looks
about that?
Awesome.
So yeah, Pests, it's a light strategy game for 2 to 6 players, and it's going to be launching on Kickstarter on February 21st.
So mark calendars.
Yes, February 21st. That's the big day. It's a Tuesday.
What time?
Probably
2 o'clock?
I'm going to say like
2:05?
mid-morning. How about 10 a.m.?
10 a.m. All right, I'm going to hold you. I'm going to be there
All right.
on Tuesday
just waiting,
checking.
Just waiting. Hitting
be
refresh,
like,
refresh. But yeah, we're super excited about it. Todd was the one who did all of the artwork for the game. I did the game design, and so this is our first project together, and we're pretty proud of how it turned out. Like, we're really excited about this.
Well, the art style looks really cool. Actually, I'm going to shift over to you.
Okay.
So you did the art style for this.
I did. Yep.
How did you get into art?
Gosh, well, I've been drawing all my life, like as early as I can remember. But my illustration career started in 2009, drawing comic strips for Cleveland Scene magazine.
Really?
Yep. I did a little thing called The View from Seven Pines.
I've heard of that.
It had a short run. Then we moved over to The Independent, which was sort of more Akron. But yeah, it all dealt with the former mayor of Cleveland, Michael White, and his adventures on his alpaca farm.
Are these cartoons available somewhere? Is there an archive of those? Because that sounds fascinating.
I didn't know he owned an alpaca farm.
I did not either.
Oh, yeah. It was a good time, for sure. I've got a few of them on my website, which is just toddjacobison.com. Far down there, but they're there. Or I can just email them to you.
Okay, well, we'll have a link below to check those out. Or you could click here to check them out.
Right there. Right there.
Yeah, right up there. You can't see it here, but it's right there.
So yeah, that's where it got started, and then I've just been drawing here and there since, doing chapter headers for Grain Company Publishing, for a book called It Came From Ohio.
I've heard of that one too.
Yep, I did the doodles in there. And then, yeah, just projects here and there. And then finally, the latest is Pests, the game.
How did, because you had this idea for this game.
Right.
You had the art style. Mm-hmm. How did those melding of the minds come together?
So Todd and I, we've known each other, like, we've been in sort of the same orbit of friends for a long time. And so I was familiar with his artwork, and when I was initially hashing out ideas about this game, I was like, I know exactly who I wish would do the art for this. I'm not sure if he'd be up for a project like this. And I showed my friend Gary that when we were chatting about mechanics, some of Art's illustrations of these like goofy monsters and things like that. And so I sent Todd a message and was like, hey, I got this idea for a game. Would you be interested at all? We got together over a couple of beers and like chatted for 2 hours and like started sketching out the way the tiles would look and things like that. And then literally like the next day, he started sending me like sketches and sketches and sketches. And within a month, it almost got to this point. Like almost all of this artwork, actually everything that you can see right now, it's just the stuff that was on these cards that wasn't all done. All of the artwork for the game was done in 1 month. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I gotta step up. I gotta man up and get the rest of this done too.
Hey, here's all your artwork for your game.
Like, oh,
yeah.
I guess we got to make this a real game. So you know, I'm a musician. I'm also a graphic designer, so I have a lot of history in production design and all that. I haven't worked before in like this kind of manufacturing, so this has been really exciting to sort of expand my horizons of getting manufacturing quotes for all of these pieces and like, you know, sourcing it out from different places and getting it all put together. And shortly after we met at Con of the Cob, we became members of the Indie Game Alliance. So Jason Goff, who was at Con on the Cob, he was running the game library there.
I know him too.
Yeah. So I chatted with him a lot that weekend, and he gave me so much great information because he's, you know, had games made himself. He's also a designer, and he pointed us towards the Indie Game Alliance, which we're now members of, and that just was like this massive resource of all of these people that have done all of this like dozens of times, and like who we should get to manufacture this, who we need to work with on distribution, everything as far as like, you know, what you need to do to put a Kickstarter together. So now, you know, it's been however many months later, and we're getting ready to launch February 21st, Tuesday, apparently at 10 a.m.
10 a.m. Mark your calendars.
Hit and refresh.
I'll be there.
Hit and refresh.
Scott, are you waiting for the package you just ordered?
Maybe.
It's the weekend. It won't ship until Monday at the earliest.
You were saying
We play a few rounds of your
Yeah,
game?
absolutely. Let me give you a real quick rundown. So each of us plays as one of these exterminators in the little hazmat suits. You'll notice that each of them is color-coded. You'll also notice that there's a great big queen pest for each of the characters that's in the house, and each of them is starting out on their corresponding color. So as an exterminator, our goal is to capture this queen pest in one of these traps. So, you know, we'll go to a room, we'll drop a trap, and hopefully be able to capture the queen in it, to exterminate all of these little pests, again, of our color, to seal off the nest room here, which is where the infestation, where it starts from, where all the pests come out and start spreading around the house. So going there and sealing off the nest, and only after all that's done, all these guys are captured, are eliminated, the queen is captured, returning to where that queen is in a trap, and emptying that trap in order to win the game.
Kind of like another property that we're not going to talk about on the show here.
Supernatural exterminator
That's
is what I
right.
am. I am a supernatural exterminator, and supernatural exterminating makes me feel good.
Didn't Ray Charles have a song like that? I don't remember. Something start with a G. I don't remember. Anyway.
So the way turns work, I'll do a turn, then Todd will do a turn, and then we'll pass it over to you.
Okay.
This is called the queen die, and so this controls her actions. It's got up, down, left, and right, and two other actions, which are summon and populate. So I'm going to roll this and see what my queen's going to do. So she rolled right. All directions are relative to the entry tile that has that little compass rose on there. So she's moving right, which is going into that room there. She's going to drop one of the little pests in that room, and one new pest is going to emerge into that nest room because it's not sealed yet.
So it can get pretty bad when these pests start multiplying.
Oh yeah. They'll be spreading all over the place. And my queen can move through walls because she's supernatural. Yours cannot. You know, hits walls.
I have unwanted guests.
And Todd's playing trying to exterminate the creepy crawlies. So after my queen takes her move, then I get one free move, so I can go through any doorway into a different room, and then I have 2 action points that I can use to do other stuff. So I'm going to start moving this way, so use my free move to go into that little storage room there, and then use 1 action point to move into this nice little reading room, and use one of the actions, which is exterminate, where I roll a 6-sided die, and however many pips show up on the side of the die, that's how many of these little guys I get to get rid of.
Light them up.
There's only one in there, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to get it right now. So that's all good. So that's how the turns work. You have 2 action points that you can use after you use your free move. So let's pass it over to Todd, and see what his queen does.
All right.
Goes up,
So when queens leave the house, they will return back in through the nearest available other door. So you count it off as if there were other squares here. So it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to come in back over there, or 1, 2, 3, so it comes in right there, because there's no door on that room and there's no doors on those sides of the house. So his queen's going to drop a pest there, and one appears in the nest room.
Oh,
so now
man.
he has he has 1 free move and 2 action points he can use.
Which I am going to go. Oop. And eliminate those.
Now, if you have other pests in the same area as you, can they attack you?
No, so the pests don't actively attack you. They, the other players are going to be trying to mess with you, though. Like, they can bust open your traps, they can unseal your nest, free your queen, do all kinds of stuff. And there are these cards, which are called toolbox cards, that can do nasty things to your opponents as well. For example, I could play this card, which is called 2x2 Hurrah. That makes double the number of pests come out of your nest room every turn.
Well, that'd be horrible.
So to take your turn, first you roll this, which is the queen die, to determine what your unwanted guest queen. So that's S, which is summon, which means that the queen calls all of her pests one room closer to her, which is gathering them all in that nest room there.
I have a lot of unwanted guests in one room.
So you have 1 free move that you can use to move into a different room, and then 2 action points you can use.
All right, I'll go 1, 2.
And then you could use something like that card, which lets you immediately get rid of 3 of those.
I'm going to zap them.
All right, so he's playing the Zap card, which
zap 'em.
zaps 3 of those right away.
That's right.
So, it basically proceeds like that. Each of us is going to be trying to capture our queen to get rid of our little pests, to seal our nest room, and we're going to be trying to stop the other players from doing so at the same time. First player to clear out their infestation wins. If all of these make it onto the board at the end of your turn, you're knocked out because you failed completely at your job. And there's no way you're getting paid.
The place.
Exactly.
Now,
exactly.
how do you draw backup cards?
So one of the actions is buy a toolbox card. So you can use 2 action points to buy another one off at the top of the stack.
So you could skip a movement. Like let's say because you guys are in here,
right?
And I don't want to move. I can
right.
just go. You know what? I need to build up my toolbox.
Exactly.
And I would use 2 actions to build up a draw card.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So you can build up your toolbox there. So we didn't show the whole setup process for this. You'll notice that each of these, this is a modular board that's going to be set up a different way each time. The way the full game works, we kind of did a quick start thing where we just dealt out the cards, and I set this up to show it off. Once you know the game, each player gets to draft first their exterminator, then they get to draft their toolbox cards. So we lay all of the cards out, and you get to pick the exact ones that you want for your starting 4 in your toolbox. So you can sort of plan out how you're going to approach your infestation, and then we build the house trying to make it in the most advantageous way to us. So there's a lot of strategy that goes into the setup that then you try to act out while the other players are trying to make their strategy happen.
Gotcha. And I hear that you have, aside from your Kickstarter, I heard there's some other games coming down the pike for Pests.
There are, well, not necessarily for Pests. We have a lot of ideas for expansions that we, if this is successful. But we have already 4 more games that are in the works. We're going to wait until this is successful, and we want to make sure that we've completed manufacturing on a game and it's in people's hands before we're like, hey, you should buy another game for us that doesn't exist yet. But yeah, we've got some fun ideas. We have one game.
Any for our fans? You can
all right.
Just peel the envelope a little bit.
So we'll give a little bit of some of the clues. One of the games that we're working on is called Chased by Clowns.
I think I regret I asked him because I don't like clowns.
Well, then you'll have a motivation to escape.
I guess the premise is you're running away from clowns.
Right. Evil clowns that are chasing you through a funhouse.
Even worse.
So
they don't have cotton candy guns, do they?
Yeah, actually, that's one of the things we already discussed.
Man, I hate to ask even more. Like,
so one of the fun mechanics that we're working on with that one, I'm calling it the Scooby-Doo board. So you know how in Scooby-Doo, like you see them running in a chase scene and they pass the same pieces of background, like the same lampshade 4 times, the potted plant and all that.
Well, I mean, it was a sale. They bought it on a wholesale.
Right, right. So the way it's going to work is there's going to be a track of like board pieces that whenever the last one falls off the bottom, it goes back on the front. So it's sort of this never-ending conveyor belt of a board that you're being chased through. So that's one of the little hints of things that you can expect from us in the future. There's also a game that's called Flippin' Fine's Diner. That's a memory game that's in the pike where you'll be trying to complete orders as a short order cook to complete sets of orders. So that'll be a little more lightweight game.
I think I'd be good at that.
I'm not good at that because my memory is terrible.
Well, there's this new game. Well, I'll have to show you after the show.
Okay.
There's this new game called Sushi Dice. I've been showing all the Dice Squad team.
All right.
And Geek Watch 1.
Is it just because it has dice in the name?
Maybe.
Are you going to add a fish to your team and name him Sushi Dice? Like, I feel like you need a mascot. That's like just Big Mouth Billy Bass that can be named Sushi Dice that hangs out right back here. And at any point you can just have him sing "Take Me to the River" just if you need it in the middle of a show. Am I giving ideas? Is that a bad idea? Is that a bad idea?
Director Dice, write that down.
He's shaking his head right now.
Well, anyway, Michael, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having us.
And thank you for being on the show first time.
Yep.
We'll definitely have you guys back to talk about your other games.
Yeah, we've got a lot coming down the pipeline, so we're looking forward to it.
Absolutely. But am I missing something? Oh, okay. So
yes.
count us off again.
Cool.
I like these whole, because we could splice these in. It makes it so much easier, because he keeps mouthing things to me. And I go, what are you talking about? All right.
And if you want to hold this up for people to
okay. All right. So hold on. Let's go back to that way the transition looks organic.
Over here, and you can grab that and show it off.
Okay.
Yep.
So, Michael, once again, when is that Kickstarter going live?
February 21st is the date that the Kickstarter is launching, so mark your calendars.
Mark your calendars, ladies and gentlemen. Check out this game. It's Pests. You get to trap spooky specters, unwanted guests, creepy crawlers.
You also have the winged beasts, the flying bugs, and the vicious vermin that you can take care of.
All that in a bag of chips. It sounds terrifying. But I'm up to the challenge.
Not as terrifying as clowns.
No, if you put clowns in here, it'd be kind of scary. But I'm up to the challenge because guess what? Back off, man. I'm a scientist. And busted makes me feel good. But from all of us here at Dice Squad, continue our coverage of the Groundhog Day Gaming Retreat, or GHD Gaming Con, which is going to be in 2018. This is Marshall Dice, also known as Adam Campbell, with
Michael McFarland
and
Todd Jacobison.
And we'll see you guys later.